Hi, everyone. My name is Kayla Bergman. I'm a policy manager here at the Center for Rural Affairs. I'm really excited today to share with you our 2023 Farm Bill platform. So as you may know, the current Farm Bill expires in September of next year. So we are currently working with members of Congress to shape the next Farm Bill with issues and opportunities that we have seen and heard about here in rural communities. We've made extensive effort to understand the issues and opportunities across the 5 states we work in. This has included dozens of one-on-one conversations with agricultural producers, several roundtables, a paper survey, numerous conversations with individuals and organizations participating in those USDA programs. Our platform covers 5 topic areas: conservation, USDA language accessibility, crop insurance, rural economic development, and small meat processing. First up, within conservation, the Conservation Stewardship Program, or CSP, provides numerous opportunities for producers to test their soil and understand the nutrient and management needs of their operation. So there are several enhancements for producers to select that includes soil testing activity, but there's not actually any enhancement opportunity that focuses solely on soil testing. In addition, USDA is not providing any interpretation services for that data. So producers are selecting the enhancement option that includes soil testing, getting that information on their soil test data, and not able to interpret or understand what that information needs within RCS. So because of that, we are asking USDA to promote annual soil testing for acres enrolled in CSP by adding a standalone soil testing enhancement. We are also asking USDA to develop and share guidance on soil testing data interpretation for producers who need it. Also within CSP, there is 5-year contracts, and after a 5-year contract, producers have the opportunity to apply for a renewal, and they have to include a new or additional conservation activity within their application. And we're hearing from producers that there is a limited number of practices available in a renewal contract, and that limits their ability to continue within the program. So we're asking USDA to expand that list of conservation activities, and that will allow producers to continue building off their previous enhancements and add additional conservation activity. Switching over to USDA language accessibility, underserved producers who do not use English as their first language have many barriers when trying to access USDA programs and services. Program deadlines are currently released in Spanish, even days or even weeks after the English version, and educational publications are not consistently available in other languages. Currently, USDA provides only a few publications in 12 additional languages, but not many publications. Also, when producers are going to access programs, so actually enroll in an FSA program or an NRCS program, they are finding that sign-up forms or enrollment forms are often only available in English. And in addition, the translation service is currently a hotline, and we're hearing that's cumbersome to use. So there's a suggested alternative of reliable interpreters that are local and have a experience with agriculture to understand those technical terms, to use those individuals as an interpreter. So within language accessibility, we are asking USDA to reduce the barriers for producers with limited English proficiency by releasing non-English versions of program announcements simultaneously with those English versions. In addition, we're asking USDA to translate educational program materials as well as sign-up forms or enrollment forms in 12 additional languages. And finally, asking USDA to create a list of reliable interpreters with connections to agriculture in each state. Moving on to crop insurance. So certified organic producers plant their crops later than their conventional counterparts. This is for many reasons, including cold soil temperatures, weed management, avoiding any pesticide drift or poor stand within their crop. USDA's Risk Management Agency, or RMA, the regional office, sets a final planting date for a producer to get their crop in to be eligible for the full coverage within crop insurance. And each day that passes after that final planting date, 1% is subtracted from the crop insurance coverage, while the producer is still paying the full coverage amount or the full premium for that coverage. So say a producer is 5 days late after that final planting date, they are paying for that full premium, but they're only getting, they're getting 5% less of that coverage. So due to this feedback, we're asking USDA to set a separate final planting date for certified organic crops, or build in a grace period for those organic operations so they're not penalized for the period after the final planting date that they are delayed due to the nature of their operation. Also within crop insurance, the pandemic cover crop program was established in 2021. This is a $5 per acre crop insurance discount on the premium when cover crops are planted ahead of that crop. So in 2021, there was about $60 million in discounts offered or rolled out across the nation. And that was about 12.2 million acres of cover crops within the program. In 2022, the program was renewed as well. To be eligible for this program, farmers need to report those acres to FSA. In 2021, that date that they needed to report those acres was June 15th. And in 2022, the original date was March 15th, and they moved that date back to May 31st for cover crops planted after March 15th. So we're asking the pandemic cover crop program to be an annual program within the Farm Bill. We have seen great success and heard really positive things from producers. We're also asking for a later reporting deadline for relevant producers within that program. Also within crop insurance, if you plant cover crops as a producer, to stay eligible and compliant with your cover or with your crop insurance, you have to terminate your cover crop by a certain date in the spring. This date varies by region, from required termination 35 days before planting all the way to just before the emergence of the cash crop. This requirement limits the ability to successfully grow cover crops in the spring. As you may know, cover crops need as much time as possible to grow in the spring, to put good roots in the ground and provide that those many benefits that they do, especially in those northern states. And also, one of the more common termination methods that's up and coming is roller crimping, which requires the cash crop to be emerged before termination of the cover crop. So this is a good alternative also in those organic operations. Here's a map of the variety of termination dates across the US. So like I said, 35 days before planting in those brown areas, and then the zone 4 or blue is the termination of a cover crop just before emergence. So we're asking USDA to change the cover crop termination date for both zone 3 and zone 4 to required termination of cover crop by 30 days after planting. That gives the cover crop a chance to really grow in the spring, and also for those roller crimpers for termination, that gives them an opportunity to terminate the cover crop in that way as well. Moving on to rural economic development. The Rural Micro and Entrepreneur Assistance Program was created in the 2008 Farm Bill and had a max loan size of $50,000, which is equivalent to about $69,000 today. In the next Farm Bill, we would like to see the maximum loan amount be raised to $75,000 since it has not been raised since the program's creation. The loan amount within RMAP can be used for certain types of expenditures. Excluded from those expenditures is new construction, which currently includes the renovation of existing buildings. This is problematic because our rural communities are filled with main streets that have buildings that are vacant and need business owners to purchase and renovate and open brick and mortar stores. So we're asking for a modification on the prohibition to new construction and allowing for the renovation of current buildings within the Rural Micro Entrepreneur Assistance Program. Among the limitations on the microenterprise development organizations within the RMAP program is the 85% cap on the total loan amount coming from RMAP. This requires the MDO to find another source of funding to complete the loan. The other source of capital is often the Small Business Administration, which causes the recipient to fill out redundant federal paperwork within the loan administrator. In the next Farm Bill, we'd like to see the microenterprise development organizations use multiple sources of funding, or to stop requiring the microenterprise development organizations to use multiple sources of funding to provide loans for underserved rural business owners. As you know, the COVID pandemic exposed and expanded the pressure on small meat processors to keep the food supply intact after large meat processing facilities slowed or halted progress. The primary challenge for small meat processors has been limited access to capital to improve and expand their facilities and operations because many traditional lenders have been unwilling or unable to provide financing needed to scale production. At the federal level, the Meat and Poultry Intermediary Lending Program was created to provide grant funding up to $10 million to intermediary lenders when turnaround and finance on small meat processors are starting up and expanding operations. The program is much needed and it has not come without challenges, however. An intermediary lender is limited to using no more than $125,000 or 5% of the grant amount, whichever is less, for establishing and maintaining the loan. In the case of small and very small meat processors, this proves difficult for intermediary lenders to make loans at a size appropriate for their business. So we'd like to see long-term funding for the Meat and Poultry Intermediary Lending Program. This will make a big difference for small meat processors across the U.S. And we also like to see intermediary lenders able to use up to 5% of the grant award expenses related to establish and maintaining the loan to reserve the Meat and Poultry Intermediary Lending Program for lender training, technical assistance, and assistance to prospective borrowers, and the new operational costs related to the Meat and Poultry Intermediary Lending Program Fund. I really appreciate you listening to our 5 sections of our Farm Bill platform. If you want to read more about this platform, you can go to our website in the Farm Bill section, and we'll make sure to link it in the comments as well. Thanks for joining.